there is going to be an undisputed champion at £118, possibly December 13th. That is the date that has been roughly penciled in for the bout between Naoya Inoue and England's Paul Butler, the proverbial lamb to the slaughter. Not official though, so I want to talk about something specific regarding the man who will be heavily favoured, and that is, of course, the Monster. In the wake of Alexander Usyk's repeat victory over Anthony Joshua, Ring Magazine finally relents and goes, alright, you're the best fighter on the planet. This is something that I did say you could have argued prior to the first Joshua victory. That kind of consistency in a very good cruiserweight era spoke volumes. Never touched the canvas. Went to all those backyards and beat those guys. Closest fight against Amaris Briedis, which is, most people agree, no worse than 7-5. Amaris Briedis, who went on to win the sequential tournament at cruiserweight. Throw in those solid victories over Gravatsky, undefeated Michael Hunter, and still a very solid Tony Bellew. A lot of fans believe this gives them more than enough ammunition to say that Usyk is rightfully the best cruiser of all time, above Evander Holyfield. This, however, does not change the fact for me that Naoya Inoue is still boxing's most dominant fighter, which for me is still very much in the essence of pound for pound. For all that pound for pound king rhetoric we got about Canelo Alvarez, I never bought it. The guy struggled too much against his best opponents. If you think about it, it's better to fight to the level of your opponent and struggle against the so-so guys and then excel against the top guys where it really matters. Well, against his top opposition, Canelo either lost or he has really controversial decisions, loads of draw material. And so when the hype train continued at super middleweight against Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant, it was kind of like adding icing on top of this cake that hadn't properly baked yet. I was just like, nah. Caleb Plant, I was never that impressed with him. Where's he going? Billy Joe Saunders basically retired. And fair play to Callum Smith now, trying to make his bones at 175. But does anyone see him as a true threat? Me neither. Now, if you wanted to interject and say, look, Canelo has simply got a deeper record, I would say, yeah, I don't disagree. But I'd also say, I bet Inoue has been more dominant against a similar level of opposition. You go back in Canelo's career, and I bet Inoue was more spectacular. I bet he demonstrated more of that pound-for-pound surplus you look for when you truly say and mean pound for pound. Inoue has hurt pretty much every single person he's been in the ring with. That is some kind of power. Now, the closest Inoue fight thus far is probably Donaire 1, which, at worst, is probably 9-3, still a clear victory. Was robbed of a knockout in round 11 when the ref gave Donaire more time. Go back to the previous decision victory, and we've got David Carmona almost on his way out in the very last round. Inoue's general mastery of opponents is just palpably clear. He is so dominant in there. Out of all the top fighters today, I would say that when it comes to Inoue, he seems to be able to beat people at whatever game they want to bring. He could essentially play into your supposed strengths and still beat you. I don't know if I can say that about an Usyk or a Crawford. Had Usyk tried to slug it out with the Joshua, probably wouldn't have gone so well. Crawford is really well-rounded, but doesn't seem as potent as Inoue. If you want to box, that little Japanese has got a piston jab, he's got great feet, he can outbox you. If you want to play a cagey counter-punching game, he can catch hook, he can pull counter, you're not going to beat him to the punch. And if you want to just have it out with him and slug, it is going to go all kinds of wrong. I don't think you can say that about any other top fighter, where you go, all right, I'll throw you a bone, let's have it your way, I'm still going to beat you. We see fighters get frustrated, they say, hey, come and fight me in the ring. We've seen Pacquiao do that. We've seen other guys be insistent to just be very cagey and they don't care about getting booed. I think Inoue can do it all. You give him something to try and match, he will do, he'll beat you at it. If we do want to take a closer look at that raw power, at that incredible ability to dispatch opponents, we may even go as far back to the likes of a flyweight Jimmy Wild for just how miraculous it is. A guy who was so small, sometimes weighed less than 100 pounds, but knocked out so many people on the trot. Something like 100 plus knockouts. The Ghost with the hammer in his hand. What a nickname. Inoue is almost conjuring up some of that ghost right there with his power, with both hands to the body and to the head. And if we are, for just a moment, going to acknowledge some of the meat in Inoue's record, we're going to be looking at some of those second round dispatches over the likes of Omar Narvaez, Manny Rodriguez. Good fighters, but spectacular performances over them. Is defeating little old Paul Butler going to add to that resume much? Not really, but we know now. Too much time has been wasted. This pandemic, the lack of a John Rail Casemiro fight is annoying. Let's consolidate these belts at 118 pounds. Let's go up to 122 against bigger framed opponents and see what that true potential is all about.